today's session, you will see how Microsoft 365 Copilot can help with our daily activities like reading of emails, catching up on meetings, analyzing Excel data, preparing reports, creating presentation, and getting ready for management discussion, basically. So we are going to look at why AI even matters before we get to the application itself. We all know that sometimes we have a lot of emails sitting on our desks, we have a lot of documents to go through, and then we might have limited time. This is where AI comes in handy. So with all our thousands, hundreds of emails to go through, with all our Excel data to analyze, with the last minute slides that we have to get working on, AI is here to make our work easier. So basically, AI is not taking over because you will still need to go through whatever AI gives you to confirm the integrity of whatever document you are being given by the AI solution. So next, I want to look at what makes Microsoft 365 Copilot different, because we all know we have a lot of AI applications that we can make use of. And we are going to look at why Microsoft 365 Copilot stands out. Microsoft 365 Copilot can basically draw on your relevant work data, such as your emails, your files, your chats, your meetings, and all that. So basically, with Microsoft 365, because you are in the Microsoft environment, you get access to all the data that you have authorization for. That's in regards to your Microsoft accounts that you have in your organization. So with Microsoft 365, you don't need to necessarily be attaching documents every time you need the AI to assist you in something. Because you are in the environment, because you are logged in with your Microsoft 365 account, you have access to all the documents that you originally have access to. So basically, this is something we call the work IQ. So work IQ is the intelligence of the Microsoft 365 dwelling on the work documents or content that you originally have access to. So here we are looking at Copilots taking information from your OneDrive or from your PC and then answering your questions or assisting you in performing some tasks based on the information you have access to. And also, Microsoft 365 takes into account the permissions that you already have in your organization. So if I have access to a document, I can use it. But if a document exists in my organization and I personally don't have access to it, Microsoft 365 will not give me information based on that document in particular. Also, with Microsoft 365, we have enterprise data protection. This is one of the key features that makes the Microsoft 365 Copilot license valuable. So one of the reasons organizations choose Microsoft 365 Copilot is that it's prompt, it responds to your needs and to your requests with protected enterprise terms. So with other companies or other AIs that we know, you might not have the comfortability to be sending all your confidential documents to such applications. So we have some like ChatGPT. If I want to analyze some very confidential information regarding my company, I will not necessarily be attaching those documents there simply because it's not protected under my organization's tenant. So with Microsoft 365 Copilot, you are protected with whatever data that is giving you information on. You are ensured that this data is not going out. It's not going to be used to train any data models or language models in the future. So technically, the confidentiality of your documents are secured. You wouldn't want to be uploading your client's information on just any AI application without ensuring that the data you are putting there is protected. If you do that, that can be confidentiality breach in your part. So we have some additional Copilot chat capabilities, which I'll do a demo shortly for us to see how that works. So basically with the searches that we do or the prompts that we give to our AI, with Microsoft 365 Copilot, you can save and reuse your prompts, and you can also schedule some prompts for future usage, and even for maybe some analysis or some reports that you do weekly or daily. So from here, I'll quickly switch to do a short demonstration on basically what I've been talking about so far, so that we can appreciate Microsoft 365 Copilot better. So from here, I just want to put in a very simple prompt for my Copilot to assist me with a few things. So before I do the prompt, I would like to take us through the key features that I mentioned earlier when I was presenting the PowerPoint. So with Microsoft Copilot 365, the most important feature that we have is the work IQ right here. So with the work IQ, you have access to your work content and all your resources in your organization. So here we can see that I have my work IQ on. If I want to switch off and let's say do a general search on them, not just my company, but something general, I can just put this back off. I'll see that work IQ is canceled. And then everything I search here is not going to be limited to just my organization as multi-thread or my identity as Angie Gorman in multi-thread. It's going to give me general knowledge about the thing I'm searching for. So for now, I want to use my work IQ because I want to do some search based on my company resources. So I'll put this back on, and I see I have work IQ back on. Also, we have the enterprise data protection I initially mentioned. So this is what shows that the conversation, your data, and everything is protected. So I don't really need to worry about putting my my budget here, my project cost or anything confidential, a client's information here, because I know it is protected under my Microsoft 365 Copilot. And this also comes with the license. So without the license, you don't have all these protection set up. So confirming that I have my data protection and I have my work IQ, I just want to do a simple search. So I'm just going to ask Copilot to help me with something that was discussed some time ago. So I have a prompt that I'm going to be using. Okay. So I'll just get my prompt for that. Okay. So some training was done on information classification in my organization, I think a month ago. So let's say I want to classify a document and I've forgotten or I'm confused on which particular label or classification to use. And since we all know that classification or protection of data is important, I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to assume. So I want to ask Copilot, instead of going through the files that were shared during the training process, I just want to ask Copilot to help me remember the classifications that we have in my organization and also how and when I can use each of them. So I will just get my prompt, which I already have here. Okay, so this says, what information classification labels are available in my organization and when should each one be used? So I'm being very specific. I know what I want and I'm just going straight at it. If I wanted to be more specific, I could even say if I'm sending the documents to maybe a client. So I could also give that further information. But for now, I want to limit it to give me the general classification labels I have in my organization. noticing that my work IQ is on, I'll be getting information based on multi-thread ICT solutions. Okay, so we'll give it a few seconds to perform this search. Okay, so I see Copilot is giving me some wonderful information. It's found some classification policy that we use in my organization. It has given me when to use this and also the access and protection that comes with it. So from a glance, I can know which particular label to use for which document I'm working on. It goes on. And the next part I want to talk about is the sources. So for every prompt that you give to Copilot, so if you are working in your organization data, which is you have the work IQ on, you will get the sources or the documents that support whatever Copilot gave. So I don't want to blindly trust Copilot. I want to maybe confirm from the documents that are already in my system or on my organization system. So from here, from the sources, I get a list of all the sources. That's where Copilot got its information from. So here I can reference the documents that Copilot used to get me this information. I can even get more, as in the announcements that came with the information classification label training on my intranet. I get reminders. I get all the documents that are basically related or have information classification labels in them. So from here, you can confirm for yourself instead of trying to locate which documents and then you spend a few minutes trying to find a document on your PC or on your OneDrive. You can just get this and then confirm the sources that Copilot gives you from here. Okay, so the next thing I want to mention is how you can save and reuse a prompt. So if I want to be saving and reusing a prompt, I don't want to always come and be typing the prompt over again. Let's say you have an Excel file that is updated every week and you need to be informed about it. I don't necessarily need to be asking Copilot every single week, what is the update of this Excel file? So if you have a prompt like this, all you need to do is to save your prompt, so that whenever you want to come back to it, you can just run it from here. So I'll just go to how to save and reuse a prompt. So from here, I have save a prompt. When I hover on the prompt itself, I get save prompt. So I'll click on this and then I get to give a title, something that will be more memorable for me if I want to come back to this prompt. So for now, I'll just leave it as information classification. And then I'll leave the prompt just as it is. So whenever I look for this prompt, this is the prompt that will be running, information classification. I can just save it from here. And now this prompt is saved. So whenever I come to Copilot and I click on a new chat, instead of having to type what are the classifications available in my organization, I can just go back to that prompt I saved. So to get that, you click on these three dots right here below the search. And then I have a list of prompts. This is called the prompt gallery or the prompt lab. So the first one is your saved prompts. So I have some saved prompts here. I can just select the one I want to use. So I would use the second one. And immediately the prompt is generated for me as I saved it initially. And I can always run this again. So this is useful when you have some prompts or some files that you recently have to be updated on or have to get back to. So you can always save a prompt and then automatically once you click on the prompt, you get the information you need to have. Another thing is with the scheduling of prompts. So I can also decide that instead of coming to ask Copilot every time about this, it should just send me a list of my public classifications, or maybe you have an Excel file that talk about budget or your weekly itinerary in your department. You can always create a schedule for that. So over here, I can click on schedule this prompt, and then I get a prompt right here. I can select the start date. So if I'm starting from next Monday, I can set the time. I can select the day that it should run. So now I have every day. I just want Mondays. So I have Monday, and I can select the end date. So I'll do 31st of September. And then I can check this or uncheck this. So if I check this, that's when I'll get my email. So I'll receive an email prompt every Monday morning until 31st of September. 31st of August, before this prompt will automatically stop running. So here I can also create or save this schedule. So instead of coming back to it every time, I can just move from here and then always have the prompts or the action sent to me in my email. You don't need to revisit it. You don't need to open the file. All you need to do is to just create a schedule and you get the prompts accordingly. Now we are going to look at a simple scenario that I have here. So today we are looking at Angie. So Angie has gotten an email or a Teams message from her boss saying that he needs the digital customer onboarding initiative for some committee steering at 1 p.m. Let's say Angie got this first thing in the morning, 8 a.m. when she came to work. She has a lot of messages or emails to go through. She has a lot of Excel files to go to, Word documents to go to know the updates of the project. Maybe you have just 1 hour to do this, which will be very difficult if you have to go through all the documents individually. So using this use case, we are going to be looking at how we can use Outlook, we can use Teams messages or meetings, Excel, Word, PowerPoint to help Angie today to fulfill this task. So from here, I'm going to be switching to a demo where we can look at how Copilot actually helps us in our day-to-day activities. Okay. So the first is my Outlook. So let's say Angie has an email thread talking about this particular project that they are working on. So in order to save time, I wouldn't need to go through all the threads to know what everybody was saying or to remind myself about it. Even though I was in the conversation, I might need to go over it just so that I get the correct information that is needed. So here I have a mail thread concerning this project, Customer Onboarding Initiative. So this was when my teammates and I were sharing information, giving our status and all that. Because of this demo purposes, I have just 4 or 5 of the mails, but you might have about 15 to 20 mails talking about the same thing, which you might not have time to go to. So I'm going to use Copilot to help me get the needed information that I need at this point in time. So from here, I see Copilot right here. So I click on this Copilot icon. And then here I can ask all the needed data or information that I need at this point. So for the sake of time, I'm just going to be copying the prompts that I have so that we move faster. So for today, I want to ask Copilot to help me quickly go through this email thread that I have. So my first prompt, so this is based on what you need at any point in time. Because I need an update for my boss, I can just summarize everything that is happening here and then just give this to Copilot to summarize a few things for me, highlighting the key issues, decisions, and action items. So here briefly, I get the key issues that are being talked about in the mail thread. I get the UAT timeline. I get the uneven branch adoption and training readiness. And I also get some decisions. right here, and I get an executive summary. So if I don't want to go through all of this, I can always look at the summary if that's what I'm aiming at. This is in reference to the mail thread. So as we can see here, the subject is boldly stated. So this conversation is centered on this particular mail thread that I selected. So here I'm briefed on what was happening. I have the action items. I see here that Japheth is supposed to investigate and resolve branch validation. I see what Mahfouz is supposed to do. So at a glance, I have a look at the whole Outlook mail thread from Copilot. Also, we had a Teams meeting, let's say last week, talking about this, giving an update. And I also want to remind myself of what was mentioned in a Teams meeting. Now, for a Teams meeting, basically, a lot of conversations will be had, and then the information might just be 10 minutes of the whole Teams meeting. So in order not to waste time, I can just look for my Teams meeting and then ask Copilot to help me summarize this. For the sake of this demo, I have the transcript ready, but just to show how to get it, I'll just use a scenario here. So this is my channel, Bespoke Department. We had a meeting, or we had a discussion some time ago. This is a whole meeting that I can view the recap of. But if this is an hour long and I don't have that time, I can just look at the recap from here and then ask Copilot to help me with this. So I can play the video, which will take time. So I will just ask Copilot to help me. So at the top, I have Copilot. So I just click on this, and I can ask Copilot to help me summarize what was said. Or if I want to know who was given a particular task, I can just ask Copilot what was discussed or what was mentioned. So for the sake of the demo, I have a transcript. So if I want to download the transcript, I can just download from this particular meeting right here so that I can perform my analysis on this. But since this is my my channel or my original team, I wouldn't want to do that. So I will just quickly present the one I have downloaded so that we can take a look at that. So I'll share my screen to show the Word document, which I downloaded as a Teams transcript. So I have a Teams meeting transcript right here. So I get to see everybody's comment at each point in time, but I don't want to read through all this. I don't have the time, the luxury of time for that. So I can just use Copilot here and then ask a few questions. Based on what I'm expecting, Copilot to give me that data or information that I need. So from the Teams meeting that was had, I just want to get my transcripts, my prompts to put in so we don't waste my time. Okay. So first I can do a summary of the transcript, which is not very specific, but it will still work. So this is when you want just a general summary of the whole event instead of listening to the whole meeting again. So I can do a summary of the transcript, which will basically summarize everything for you, listing all the key details that you need. But for today, I just want to be specific enough and say what decisions were made in this meeting, because my boss is requesting for an update. So he wants to know who is in charge of what and when to expect response from us. So within a second, I get the decisions that were made. So the project is still at risk, and then the October rollout target remains unchanged. So we are still hoping to roll out in October. So I get this brief summary, which I am good to go with. Now, the last thing I want to look at or analyze before I get back to my boss is an Excel file that we have on this project. So we've looked at the Outlook, the conversations that went on, the Teams meeting that we had, and I want to look at the Excel data because data can always change. So if you're not the one in charge, you always want to reference the data before you give a feedback on that. So I have an Excel file ready, which I'll be using to quickly get the data status that we have on our project. So I have this Excel sheet that basically talks about the adoption of the project that we are looking at. So we have some branches, we have the months, the users and everything. Those that are adopting it, those that are still trying to get it done, we have in percentages. And this data, for the sake of this demo, has just 49 rows. But on a daily basis or on your work field, you might have an Excel sheet that has a lot of data, about hundreds and thousands of data that you need to analyze. So that would take time if you decide to do it just with your human abilities. In this case, AI is here to help us, so we must take advantage of that. So with my Excel, I just want to ask Copilot to help me with some basic data that I need to know. So right from here, I have Copilot icon showing here. I'll just click on that. And then I'll ask a few questions for Copilot to help me analyze the data that I'm looking at. Okay. I already have some chats, but we'll just start over again. So if I want to know the branches that are adopting the application or the project we are doing, I can just ask that specific question. So which branches are consistently below the adoption target? So want to know which branches are not adopting it. I think that's something that my boss and management would want to know. And then we give it a few seconds to come through for us. Okay, so here I get the response. It says Takrade and Temale are below the 85% adoption target in all 12 months. So I get the breakdown for both of them. So at a glance, I know which branches are not doing well. I can also, in that same way, know which branches are adopting it and hitting our targets. So I can also do generate a chart based on the Excel sheets that we have. So I'll just put in my prompts just to help us go faster. So here I say create a chart comparing adoption rates against targets by branch. So I want to compare the branches and their adoption rate in a chart, which would mostly take me a couple of minutes, if not an hour, to get done. But I can just do this with Copilot and get the analysis done in a few seconds. Okay, so Copilot is asking, do I want it in December adoption rates, annual average, or monthly? I think annual will be better. So let's say for today, I want to do an annual adoption rate. So I can see during the year which branches were adopting well and which of them were lagging behind. Okay, so in a few seconds or maximum a minute, I get this chart presented right here. I want to focus on this particular one, which is showing some percentages that each branch has. So here I can see Kumasi as a percentage of 81.3% compared to the 85% we were expecting. So I also get it in a tabular form showing all of that. If I want to be more specific, I can always ask ChatGPT to be more specific, maybe do a monthly breakdown or move on that. Sorry, Copilot. Okay. So here I have my Excel analysis. I can go on and on depending on whatever information or whatever data I want to look at. Now we have helped Angie accomplish something. So here I have my Outlook, I have my transcript analyze, Excel analyze. So from these 3 steps, I am up to date on what's happening with the project. So now I can decide to create a Word document just in case my boss requires for an executive summary of everything that is happening. So I'm going to use Copilot at this point to generate a Word document based on all the information we've gathered and the data sources that we have. So right from here, I'm going to create a new Word document. Okay, so here I have a blank document. I don't want to go through the process of typing everything myself. That would be very tedious. So I will just give Copilot a prompt so that we can be fast on this. Okay. First of all, I want to bring in my data sources. So I have the Excel file. I have the Teams meeting transcripts, which I can use at this point. So instead of just typing Copilot, summarize, whatever, you can just give the document and then give the prompt that you want. So for this, I want to give two documents. So I have the Teams meeting transcript and I also have the Excel. Okay, so for the Excel, okay. Let me look for my Excel sheet right from my OneDrive. So I have my Excel sheet selected and then I can add that. So I've given two sources or documents to Copilot and I want to ask Copilot to give me an executive summary based on the sources that I have provided. Okay. So using these project updates, okay, so let me just make this using these documents, which will be quite simple. Okay, using these documents, create a steering committee status report with an executive summary, current status, risks, recommendations, next steps, and decision required. So basically, Copilot is going to create this document for me. Okay, let me do a refresh of this. And then I put in my Teams meeting. And my Excel file. Okay, now let me send in this prompt. Okay, let me just use Copilot straight to generate this document. So new chat. Yeah, I can just do this right here instead of in the Word document itself. So in my Copilot, I put the prompts and I upload the content I want to attach. So I have my Excel and I have my Teams meeting transcripts. Okay, so I'll just put in this prompt. And right from here, I get an executive summary. I get my current status. I get my branch adoption performance. So based on the documents or the sources that I gave Copilot, I get a breakdown and the status of everything. And also the prompt is very important because whatever prompt you give to Copilot, it's what it will return. So here I see I asked for executive summary, current status, risks, recommendations, next step, and decision required. So that's exactly what I'm going to be getting from Copilot. And this is all based on the documents or the sources that was given to Copilot. If I want to copy this into a Word document, I can basically convert this into a Word document. So going back to Angie, who is stranded because she was asked to put together a report by 1 p.m. So now we have a Word rightfully put together. So I can convert that to Word if I want to. I can also convert it to a PowerPoint presentation if I want to present to my boss. So in this case, using the information I got from Copilot right here, I can decide to just copy everything and convert it into a PowerPoint presentation, which my boss would need. So if I come to creating a new file, just to save time, I'll just do that here. Ideally, I would have converted it to a Word document so that I will have the Word document put in my Copilot PowerPoint. But I'll just do a direct copy here. So I just copied everything I said, create a presentation about. And then I have my pasted information right here. This will take a few seconds or a minute to generate. So we'll give Copilot time to come up with this PPT. A few seconds would be enough. Okay, so I'm being asked, which visual direction should this status deck take? Let's do light slate data report. And with whatever information that Copilot gives you, you have to always be confirming. You have to be correcting or changing a few things to your desired results. So if this PowerPoint presentation comes in a look or a theme that I'm not comfortable with, I can just basically give it a prompt to change a few things about it. So for now, we'll just see it generates the documents. Just a few seconds. I think it's better to wait a few seconds than to have to build the PPT ourselves. So Copilot is working on something. So once that is done, it checks it to let you know the status of everything that is doing or is going on at the background. Let's just go back to our presentation so that we can quickly get back to the PPT once it is done. So I'll just present. So we saw how from Outlook, we were able to use Copilot to analyze our emails. We're able to use Copilot to go through our transcripts, Excel, and then now we have a Word document, which we are converting into a PowerPoint presentation. We'll come back to Copilot chats after the presentation or the PowerPoint presentation is done. Okay, so we are going to look at some of the challenges that Angie was initially facing, which has now been dealt with by the use of Copilot, since we are waiting for our presentation to be done. So we had a lot of email overload. Sometimes you might have 20 emails in one email thread, and then the time you need to give a presentation or a review is not when you have time to go through all of them. So Copilot has helped us with that. And also we have a breakdown of the discussions we had from our Teams meeting. So you can always ask Copilot to give you a summary of your meeting instead of going through the whole 1 hour or 2 hours over again. And then we've looked at some data analysis that was performed. So instead of going to the documents, knowing which region was adopting enough, we could just ask a few questions with some correct prompts and then get some answers. So we've used 3 evidence sources to generate one report. And now we are converting this Word report into a PowerPoint. Okay. So then what really did Copilot help us with? Now Angie knows that there is some API integration delay from the analysis that was done on the Outlook and the Teams meeting. We know there are some training gaps. So Takrade and Tamale are not doing well. They are not adapting to the application. So we need to do some training there. We have uneven adoption. Some are adopting it well, some are very low in percentage. And then we also know that the go live is still October. So from the chat, we realize that October is when we intend to roll out the project, but there are still some risks. So at a glance, we know what Angie needs to talk about when she meets with her boss to give a review on the project that we are looking at. I'll quickly check to see if our PowerPoint is ready. Okay, so I have some PowerPoints nicely generated for me. I might not like the theme. I'm a very colorful person, so I might want to change a few things. But basically, this gives you the data or the information that you need with editing, with working with Copilot to make it more professional. That is always with just a few prompts, and you can achieve that desired look. So I have my PowerPoint ready right here. I might not like this theme, but again, the main focus is on the information that we get to present. The theme and then the look and feel, everything can be changed with Copilot. You can always make some adjustments or updates with Copilot right here. So we have gone from Angie being a few hours or minutes prepared to presenting to her boss, to now having everything at her fingertips, knows the updates of everything, the status, the team members, what role each body is supposed to play. And then now we can present a better report to the boss on how far the project has come or is going. Okay, now we have an executive deck. So from our Word documents, we now have an executive deck, which will clearly show the summary recommendations and also the status of everything that Angie's boss would likely require of her. The next thing we are going to look at is how we humans have a part to play in everything. So we realize that Copilot is not necessarily taking over Angie's job, or it's not going to do her job for her to relax throughout the day. But it's going to make her efficient. It's going to make her more productive with whatever tasks that she's given to do. Because we might have other things sitting on her desk whilst she needs to give an update of the project at 1 p.m. So this is also a way to make Angie more efficient and then also more productive at her workplace. So after Copilot does the work or does the helping for her, Angie also has to review the documents, review the information gotten, verify everything is correct, refine it to what will be presentable enough for her boss, and also decide on what to even talk about, because sometimes you might get information you don't want to present on. So that will also need you to quickly go through the documents you get, the information you get, and then do your fine-tuning at the end. Okay, now 1 p.m., Angie is ready. She doesn't necessarily need to struggle or go and give an excuse to her boss saying, you gave me limited time to present on this project, I would have to get back to you. Or she doesn't need to go with information she had from yesterday, because Copilot can help her get a summary of everything that is happening. Even if there are Excel sheets that is updated frequently, she can always use Copilot to quickly take a glance at the improvements, at the new updates, and then make her presentation or her reports very guided and then accurate on that. So with Copilot, we don't we don't work around AI, or AI doesn't do the work for us, but we work with AI, and then we are faster, we are smarter, we are productive, and we even get to analyze data better and quicker. So thank you very much. This was just a very short session because Copilot goes in details. I believe you saw how I was rushing through some of the prompts, but ideally you'd have to be more specific. You'd have to be more concise so that you get the better response from Copilot. Also, I would like to add that when you are giving in a prompt to Copilot, you don't just say, summarize this data for me or summarize this document for me. You have to have a few things in mind. So you have to know the goal of what you are doing. So why do you want the summary? Is it that you want the summary for a presentation? Do you need the summary to go through maybe some data? You might have a lot of information, let's say an Excel file of about 1,000 rows. You might not need all the rows to be summarized for you. You might be looking at just a particular portion. So that is also very important. So you must look at what is needed. So the goal of your prompts. You must also look at the content. What do you expect Copilot to give to you? So here we are looking at Copilot giving us maybe an executive summary. You have to be specific. You also have to know how to present the data. So if I wanted to be more specific about a document, I can go further and say, present the branches breakdown or adaptivity percentage in a bullet point or in a tabular form. So that one, you are more specific. Copilot can rightfully present your data to you in the way that would matter to you, in a way that you would want it presented. So I would just like to say that don't be giving prompts because Copilot has come to help. You just give the prompts anyhow. You might not get the desired results that you expect, but you have to be more specific. You have to specify the goal, the content, the way you want it to be shown. And you can even go more specific by adding your data. So if you have a document, you can reference the document so that Copilot knows that I just want information based on this particular document, not every other document that there is.